There we go. Good morning, everyone. It's Erica here from Me To You Paper Crafts, coming to you live for another Mojo Monday. And today I have to officially announce that today is the last template from the 2024 to 2025 Annual Catalog. They had a series of templates at the beginning of the catalog, and it was the first time they had done that, and they became very, very popular. And so today we are doing the very last, they call it a card sketch number 26. So I've pretty well done all of them from the beginning, and hopefully you've been following along. If not, you can certainly go back and look at the replays. Now you can either do this on my YouTube channel or you can do this on my Facebook page. And if you're on Facebook, just go to videos. There's a menu across the top. Go to videos and then just find any of the Mojo Mondays. And that has been the templates probably since, I'm going to say, maybe last September, not sure. But anyway, if not earlier than that. So 26, we've done 26 of these. So today is a very simple one. I kind of feel like I've done this before, and maybe there was a similar template where maybe they just put the greeting somewhere else. I don't know. But as I do these templates, I like to give you other ideas of what you can do. You can certainly dress up the, or what a lot of people refer to as step up the design, which I'm actually going to do today. I'm going to step it up because I want to bring in a little extra something else. The two stamp sets I'm using today, I'm going to use this Pattern of Friendship stamp set, and it comes with a coordinating die. It's just a big plate with texture on it, so it doesn't cut out anything. It's just what they commonly refer to in the industry as a texture plate. So it just creates texture on your cardstock. So that's lots of fun. And then the Pattern of Friendship just has some really, really sweet greetings on there. And we're going to use this kind of bubble font for happy birthday. And I'm bringing in the balloons from the Spring Corners stamp set. And I might do some extra little corner graphics as we go. I'm just going to be doing it as I do it. I don't have a big plan. But anyway, I thought the balloons would be fun for a little happy birthday card. And I'm keeping it almost monochromatic. I'm going to be using Bubble Bath, which is a really, really pretty pink color. And I'm pulling in the Designer Series papers from the 2024 to 2026 in colors. It's a 6x6 paper pack. These in colors are absolutely gorgeous. They were announced last year, so they run for 2 years. This year we have new colors, 5 new colors. So they always come in 5. So when next year's catalog, the 2026 catalog comes out, these will be retired. But these are almost some of my favorite colors. They're bright, they're cheery, they're just kind of a girly girl kind of a color pack. Okay, so let's get started. I'll turn the camera down and let's get started. So let's pull me forward. I'm bringing me to a solo layout. Here's my desktop. I'm going to pull my camera down and straighten it out a little bit. There we go. And pull it down and move it back. There we go. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So I have a Bubble Bath card base. So you start off with a regular size A2 card base. And I'm just doing a simple typical folded card, okay? And then the template asks for a 3 by 4 1/4 inch piece of something. So that's this piece here. Now this is enlarged, of course. So it's 3 by 4 1/4. And this is the piece that I'm actually going to emboss with this texture plate. So this is what the texture plate looks like. This is the texture plate, okay? So you can do a full 6x6 and use it in your scrapbook pages if you want. But I am just going to lay this on here. And I'm actually going to die cut it face up just because if I turn it over, I'll lose where my paper is. And I want it to be straight on here. So I'm positioning this on here like that, okay? And I'm going to run it through my machine. So just bear with me while I do that. All right, so this is what it looks like. So just be gentle pulling it off. And so it creates these little stripes, of course, but they are, can you see that? They're textured. It's like you took a little needle and you just poked multiple holes through the paper. So that's what the texture plate looks like, kind of fun. Now, you could also use this as an embossing folder too by using your silicone mat. I'm sure I've talked to you about that before. So you can do the same thing, but when you don't want it to cut in there, you can actually just minimize the texture. Mind you, I'm gonna rewind all of that. It's already textured it. What am I saying? Yeah, forget what I was saying about the silicone mat. I'm thinking of something else. Okay, rewind. All right, so here's my card base. This is my 3 by 4 1/4 inch. And so I thought I would add some designer series paper behind it just to give it a little bit of extra. So I'm going to do a narrow, or I'm going to do a 4 by, I think this is already cut at 4 by 5 1/4. Yeah, this is already cut to 4. So let's do 5 1/4. So this will be a typical layer for an A2 size card. Okay, and now just by cutting that down, I have a strip that I can put on the inside of my card. I always like to decorate the insides of my card. Okay, so I'm going to place this underneath like so. Okay, now I thought I would play in this spring corners. There's this really cool little corner stamp here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to temporarily, I've got my happy birthday already mounted. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to put this on here. Okay. And then I thought I'm going to do a bold black. I want my greeting to really pop. And so I'm going to do everything else in black, so it'll really pop out. Okay, so I'm going to just put this in the corners. So there's one. And then we'll put one down here. So I'm going to rotate my cardstock to each corner. Ooh, I've got a lot of black on here. Hang on a sec. That happened to me the other day. That happens often when you don't really have your stamp positioned in the middle of the acrylic block, so that when you stamp it, it seems to tip a little bit. So let's just be a little more careful how I stamp it. We'll put one here. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the cardstock again. And I'm going to look up and see if anybody has joined in this morning. Okay, and let's do one more. Look how cool these are. Okay, so it kind of creates a really cool frame. Okay, now I'm going to clean that because I need this block again for something else. Okay. Now I'm going to grab the greeting again. Let's not lose that on my desk. And let's put this on here. Okay. All right, so we've got this, and this is going to be mounted on the card base. So while the black is open, I am going to stamp that and give it a chance to dry. And I'm going to also stamp my balloons on a spare piece of cardstock. Okay, so I'm not going to pay much attention to the size of this strip because this is a stacked greeting, happy birthday. So I'm going to fussy cut around that. So let's just stamp that on there like so. Look how bold that is. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp the balloons and color them in. So let me grab another scrap piece of cardstock. And we'll stamp our balloons. I'm going to wait for that to dry. This ink does dry very quickly, but I do like to give it a little time to make sure it's really dry, particularly if you're going to be using your Stampin' blends. So the color of blends I decided to pull out. Of course, I've got the Bubble Bath, the dark and the light. I decided to bring in the Petunia Pop. This is this color of DSP is Petunia Pop. And then I thought I would pull in Fresh Freesia. And I see Christine. Happy Monday, Christine. How are you? All right. So I'm going to start putting this card together. So let's get out my silicone mat and my tape runner. I know. The other side of the paper is very pretty, but I kind of just wanted the mottled look. So I'm going to stick this down and get it centered. Okay. And this piece is going to go on here. Now, at this point, if you wanted to wrap some ribbon around this, you could do that. As a matter of fact, you could wrap the ribbon, you know, to represent this strip here, if you wanted to. I'm going to do my balloons and cut things out before I decide to do that, if I'm going to do that. All right, let's start and do a little bit of coloring. I like to always start with the light color. And I like to make sure I color inside the lines. Now with the dark color, I'm going to add a bit of shading. Whoops, wrong balloon. Okay, and then let's do the light Petunia Pop on this balloon. And then we'll pull in the dark. Okay, and then we'll do the fresh freesia. And then let's grab the dark. Okay, there are our balloons. I'm definitely going to put some Wink of Stella on there. Now, on Friday, no, was it Friday? When did I do? Oh, this was Thursday night. Thursday night, I used this same stamp set, the spring corners, and I made this card. And I showed my audience how to use the, what's it called? The fine tip glue that Stampin' Up has, the fine tip glue. This is it here, but I put it in a different bottle because the bottle that it comes in, I don't know, everybody has problems with the glue drying inside this pointer here, or this tube. And these are glue bottles that you can get off Amazon or some other stamp companies, I don't know. And you can fill it up with the fine tip glue pen. And for whatever reason, this works really well. And I gave people some tips on how to do this. So after you've applied the glue, I like to stamp this down on my craft desk to try and push or drop the glue out of the tube here, down back into the bottle. And then I squeeze it gently until I hear air coming out. And then I recap it. And after doing that, I haven't had any problems with it. Anyway, what it does is it creates this really cool, see if the camera will pick it. There it is. There's the shine. Can you see the shine? There it is. See the shine? So it creates kind of like a three-dimensional look, and it's shiny. But make sure you let it dry for a long time. So that's really, really a cool little trick. I'm not going to do that today on this card. I'm just going to do my Wink of Stella. Now, the other cool thing, I don't know if that would work or not, but you could Wink of Stella first, wait for that to dry, and then apply this and see if the Wink of Stella shines through. That would be kind of a cool little experiment. Okay, so we have a die for the balloons. We actually got some really cool dies in this set. I love this set. I haven't used it a lot yet, but it's got these really cool little corners. I showed how to use those last Thursday night. And then this is a really, really cool cutout corner piece. And you've got these cutout corner pieces. They just add extra texture to your design. But I'm going to grab the balloons here. It's got a nice little die for sentiment. Okay, so we're going to cut these out. Okay, those look good like that. And I'm just going to grab a piece of tape. And I'm going to die cut these balloons. And I will mount these on dimensionals, at least that top balloon. So let's get out my mini dimensionals. And I need my pokey tool. Just put that dimensional right there. All right, so that's ready to go. And then I'm going to cut out my happy birthday here. Now, you have a couple of options with this. There's quite a bit of space between the happy and the birthday, so you could cut that and put two little strips on the paper. Maybe I'll do that. So this is where a mini little trimmer comes in handy. So let's chomp that, and let's chomp that. And then I'm going to chomp. Now I'm going to pull out another tool that I use. It's not a Stampin' Up tool, but I've had it for years and years and years and years. And I love it for this particular, when I want to get a really clean cut in between that. See what I'm doing? I really like the Fizz Bars trimmer because it has a wire in it. So you can position the wire right exactly where you want to cut. It's a little bit more difficult to do that on our Stampin' trimmer, even though that is the one I use all the time and I love it, don't get me wrong. But this little wire just adds that little extra ability to cut exactly where you want to cut. See that? I love it. Okay, so now we have the birthday, and then while I've got this cutter out, I might as well just cut this piece. All right. All right, so we have, and I might as well cut off the happy, because I might just and let's turn this around. There we go. Okay, so there's our happy birthday done. You know, when you've been a long-time crafter such as you do have a lot of tools. You collect a lot of tools. I started collecting way before I even knew about Stampin' Up, to be honest. All right, so we've got our balloons. We have our happy birthday. Now let's put this card here, and we've got this piece here. I'm just going to lay out my pieces so I can figure out where I'm going with this. So we could do happy birthday. See, I love the black greeting and how it coordinates. I'm going to chop off just a little bit more of this end here. Okay, so we have happy birthday. And then we have our balloons to go on the side. Really simple, simple card. So I think I'll put the balloons on. Well, actually, I'm going to glue this piece down first. So I'm just going to use my Tombow glue. And let's stick this in here. So have your eyes do a little wander all around the perimeter to make sure you've got it centered in there nicely. Let's put a little bit of glue on this little balloon strings. And we'll put this on there like that. Okay, and then we've got happy birthday. And I think I'm going to put these on dimensionals too. Happy birthday. I kind of like that. Okay, let's get some dimensionals out. Oh, let's stick down. So just a word for the wise. This, because it's been, cut out, it has a tendency to sort of like not lie flat. So if you want it to lie really flat, you need to put your glue right as close to the edge as you can. I kind of like that it's kind of popping up, I should say, around the perimeter. Kind of gives it some more dimension. So I'm not too worried about that. But just to let you know, it doesn't really lie very flat. So let's pull out some more of my mini glue dots here. Now these glue dots are left over from a paper pumpkin kit, and I do notice that they're just a little bit higher. Where's my other greeting gone? There it is. They're a little bit thicker is the word I'm looking for. Oh, I shouldn't have worn this bracelet today. It's knocking on my glass mat here. Sorry. I don't know if you can hear that. The microphone does a pretty good job of cutting out background noises. All right, so we're going to do birthday here. And happy. And I'm going to have it line up on the right side. Happy birthday. Okay, there's that. And then let's just add a little bit of Wink of Stella on our card. Boy, I'm really loving how this card is turning out. Let me know what you think. Okay, there you go. Now, I also recently ordered, they came out with some new dots for the 2024 to 2026 in colors. They're a little bit more flat and they're iridescent. They're really, really pretty. Whereas the other ones, let me just show you. Let me pull out the other ones are kind of more matte. Yeah, here they are. They're still round dots, but they're a matte finish, whereas these are a shiny finish. So I think I prefer these. If I can open the package. Okay, and I think I was telling you before that when I get a pack of embellishments, I really like to put which catalog or if it was online where I found these. And if it coordinates with a suite, I put the name of the suite on here as well. And then, of course, they're the in colors. Now, on the package, they don't tell you what the colors are. So in the past, I have written out all of the colors on here. So let me just grab a pen and do the same here. So here I'm going to do, this was the 2025 Annual Catalogue. Okay, and these are still the 2024 to 2026 in colors. Okay, so that's how I like to organize my embellishments. So that way, sometimes, when I'm designing a card, sometimes I'll just grab embellishments and go, I haven't used these for a long time and I want to use them. So I grab them. So it's really handy to know if it coordinates with a suite. So I will then grab out that suite of products and then make the card. All right, so we're going to stick with the pink theme, I think. Pink, I think. So let's think now. I think I'm just going to put a few here just to put one here. This is always the challenge. Where do we put the embellish? Let's put one here. And let's put one here. There we go. Just a little spattering of, just to break up that background there. All right, there's your card for today. I think I'm quite happy with the way that turned out. Let me know what you think. And then for the inside of the card, we can do the same. I'm not sure if these pieces are 4 by 5 1/4. No, they're 4 1/4 by 5. How come I don't have any 4 by 5 1/4? I'll just have to cut one down. Okay. So let's do 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside of the card. Now, I'm going to let you know what I've been doing recently. Every time I trim a piece of cardstock, I am keeping this, and behind me in a drawer, I have a little container, and I've been just throwing strips in here so that I can do a scrappy card. Now, most of them are pretty narrow, but I will be throwing in some wider ones as I, do more. I'm not going to make any scrappy cards until this box is pretty full. But that's what I'm doing. I'm just keeping those scraps in there. Okay, this needs to be 5 1/4. And I'm keeping mostly the longer scraps, because when you make a scrappy card, you want it to go over the edge. All right, now for the inside of the card, I think I'm just going to grab this Petunia Pop ink color, because I'm going to use those same corner die and do the corners for the inside of the card. Okay. So my question of the day is, actually, another thing you could do, because this white is going to be mounted on the pink, why don't we do a fancy corner? Okay, so I'm going to add this fancy corner in here. And die cut this. I'll just do the one because I have an idea for the other 3 corners. Oh, that didn't do what I expected it to do. My boo-boo. It's getting to know the dies. That was a mistake. This actually cuts out. This cuts out the die. But you know what? It cuts out the die, but you know what? I'm just going to glue it back in there. Look at that. There you go. There's another idea. Now, before I do that, I'm going to take my ink and I'm going to find that other, did I put that stamp back? Yes, I did. I'm going to use this stamp again. So I'm going to remove my happy birthday. And I'm going to put this back on my block. I'm going to try and center it more this time. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the other 3 corners. Actually, That's not going to work because it's too long. So I can't do that top corner. All right, we'll just leave that one out. Okay, this is called creating on the fly. All right, so we're going to glue this into here. And I'm going to grab my Tombow because I do need to, oh, that's a brand new one I haven't opened yet. I want to be able to do a tiny bit of glue along here. I'm going to glue this in here. Okay. And then I'm just going to put just dabbing. And I'm going to stick this in here. Look at that. So that was kind of an error, but it turned out okay, I think. Let me know what you think. So there's the inside of our card. All right, let's bring me forward so I can say goodbye. Thank you for attending. Love it, making me rethink not getting that set. Yeah, I think it's a cute set. It needs to be used to really fully enjoy the possibilities. I'm loving this tiny little stemmed little daisies here, and there's a die to cut it out. And there's a little bit of background stuff. And then they've got these little things for a candle, although there's no candles in here. But if you cut strips of cardstock, you can use the candle on here. Oh, I don't have my camera for it. Hang on a second. Let me just show you that again. So see, you've got this little candle just to show the candle, you know, how it gives that little lit. I don't know what you call that. But it's when to represent that the candle is lit. And then you've got some background stuff. You've got a heart here. Yeah, it's just, and I love the greetings. It's a very, very cute set. Yeah, I didn't get it when it first came out. I hummed and hawed and hummed and hawed and hummed and hawed. But if you can do your greetings in any other way, that's why I love the other stamp set called Encircled with Love, because those greetings are in a circle. So it just allows you to do some different kind of greetings. The glow of the candle? Yeah, that would work. Thanks, Christine. Thank you. All right. I will love you and leave you. Have a super week. I'll be back on Thursday night for Case the Caddy. Bye, everyone.